Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday, October 24th, 2010, the day after BlizzCon, and this is Day 9 Daily. Oopsie daisies, this is Day 9 Daily number 203. Do I look hot or what? Oh, look at this jacket. Look at this shirt. Oh my god, this was all given to me for free by the people at Jinx. They, of course, make totally awesome clothing. Check it out at jinx.com. And get this, not only do they make awesome clothing, such as this Terran jacket, look at these buttons. They even have a 2 on it for Starcraft 2. And just to be cool, there's buttons. Not only do they make cool clothing, but they're also just awesome people. Like, I met them, and all we wanted to talk about was just, like, team games and SC2s. We did that for, like, an hour. We all regaled the stories to one another, and that was totally kick-ass. So, it honestly is like 100 degrees in my room. But I'm just going to wear this because I've never actually been this attractive before. I didn't realize how confident I feel. Not just about me, but in my words. Oh, everything you see here is by Jinx. Except for my face. That was my mom to thank for that. Thanks, Mama. It's not like I was at Jinx and they just said, oh, you could totally look good in this face, and just grab someone and rip his face up. And they smack it on me, and I go, ooh, it feels fitted. No, this is all me, baby. This ain't a trick. So, anyways, I just got done doing BlizzCon. I pooped out a commentary there, so that was a lot of fun. I got the chance to meet all sorts of really nice people. And I get asked a lot for people that, tell me weird fan stories. They always ask, what's the craziest thing a fan has done? And fortunately, people who watch the show are just unbelievably nice people. That's what's really great. They're just like, hey, I really like what you do. Do you want to, high five? And I would do them a double high five. I raise them. So thanks so much, and if any of you missed me, I'm sorry. In fact, there are a lot of times where I would be on the stage, and you'll notice that my voice isn't exactly lost, and the only way I can stave off a lost voice is by guzzling gallons of water. So I went through 3 or 4 bottles of water per game. Not per best of 3, but per game. I was just like, gah. So after the cast, people would be like, you want a photo? Could you signature? I'm like, I have to pee so bad. And they're like, could we just... I was like, no, I will pee on you if you don't get out of my way right now. And of course that threat seems to work quite well still. So for some of you who I didn't get to see, sorry. Still heart to you. For those of you who I did get to see, yeah! BlizzCon was awesome. I got to play Diablo 3 as well. Ooh, num 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 num. Items. Items. Everyone knows Diablo 3 is about the loot. Seriously, some of those game designers are coming up to me. They were like, hey, what do you think about this class? Is it fun to dart in with the monk and dart out? And I was like, where's the loot? All right, I need a set. Do they have Stones of Jordan in this game? Seriously. So either way, this is a game that we did not get the chance to cast there that I was particularly curious about. Now, if any of you do not know Demaga, this sums it up right here. Just happy face. Big game in the loser's bracket, on the stage, feeling the pressure. He's just like, in Ukrainian. And honestly, he has come a long way from his play in beta. He used to be super weak. He used to be gimmicky. He used to just banely burst his opponents. And yet he has just not only become really, really strong, but it's his own sort of unique style. And in fact, at this tournament, he got bumped down to loser's first round from Maka, going 1-2 with Maka, and then plowed through the loser's bracket to get 4th. Who did he beat there? I know he beat Sen, which is insane. He beat the little one, which is unfortunate. He rolled some other total scrub. I don't remember. He's awesome. Unbelievable player. And this game against Phoenix, for any of you who got the chance to watch the Comic-Con games, the Intel Extreme Masters New York tournament, Phoenix was looking particularly impressive. So I was shocked that Demaga knocks Phoenix out of the tournament. So we're going to watch the 2 games that Demaga won. Just a good old normal analysis. Now for any of you who are tuning into the Day 9 Daily for the first time, maybe some of you who checked me out at Blizzcon, this is the Day 9 Daily where we learn to be a better gamer. Sure, it's fun to do shoutcasts. Sure, it's fun to be like, all right, building an interesting and early refinery. The point of this is that I will be analyzing, talking about what players do good, what players do not so good. And for this game, we're going to focus exclusively on our Ukrainian muscly friend with the big broad smile and the big broad shoulders, MTW Demaga. For the record, once again, I am unbelievably hot in this jacket. And this time I don't just mean attractive, I mean I'm actually physically starting to sweat. So don't mind me if I come back and I'm glistening. So returning directly to the game, Demaga. It's on Delta Quadrant. You don't really know if you're going to be in close positions. Almost all positions are close, as we can see here in the Demaga cam. He's sending out one Overlord, and this is already very smart. Notice how he sends the Overlord, so that way he can see a ramp and still have space to clear. For instance, if he scouted downward, notice how that would be bad. The instant he gets to the ramp, the Overlord's here, and Marine can go kill it. Smart Overlord scouting. Second Overlord, this is a very common thing that people did in Brood War. Still common for them to do it here in Starcraft 2, to send the Overlord just to the expansion to see this area where bunkers are prone to be planted. So the 16 hatches going down. Spawning pool is going to be coming up in a moment, and actually I need to get my glass of water that is quite far away from me. So please just talk amongst yourselves. Rolling to get my water. Water achieved. Achievement unlocked. Thank God I disabled toast notifications. So he's getting his spawning pool and his gas immediately thereafter. I think everyone knows this basic structure to Zerg play. You just immediately throw down an expansion. You immediately get your spawning pool after you've thrown down your expansion. And you immediately get a gas after all of that, because Zergling speed and layers are oh so good. So in the meantime, Demaga, again, notice great little placement. He can see all sorts of fancy stuff. He sees the factory. And the bunker rush is coming. Now already I like the way that Demaga ended up responding to this, because he doesn't do what most Zerg players do, a technique I would call shitting their pants. He just brings some drones, not a huge amount, just some. And by the way, for any of you who are seeing skips, that's actually happening on my computer. For some reason, StarCraft 2 has been lagging on me quite a bit today. But either way, it looks like the Marine is being repelled. Notice how calm that was, how easy that was. 2 queens being constructed, no Zerglings going straight into the Roach Warren. Very good stuff. Now, the reason I specifically love beginning with this replay is that we're in really close positions. I mean, I always do this, but geez, that is like stupidly close. I mean, this takes like a second to get to your opponent's base. So I think a lot of people are comfortable with a map like Xel'Naga Caverns, because on that map there's just so much time. You see your opponent beginning to move out, you go, huh, I guess I better make things, and you make them things and you stay alive. On this map, oh, you don't have that luxury. People botch this a lot, and the only way that you can really pull it off is with exquisite timing. To just be able to kind of sense when things will actually become scary, when they will not. So we will note little things like Phoenix is getting his Hellion. He did his usual Marine push with the bunker, but most importantly, he's getting this fast starport. We're going to see how this comes into play in a moment. As usual, Demaga is just pulling his drones back. Just does not want to take any damage from those drones. Sure, he's not mining here, but he wants to keep all his drones alive. And this is a big mistake a lot of players do at lower levels especially. They'll be getting harassed, and they'll do things like, oh no, maybe I want to tell my drones to attack, or maybe I just, you know, I want to do something insane, like try to run everything away, but just very calmly running small amounts of drone around. Coincidentally, it was everything here. But I mean, for instance, if a Hellion gets into the main, sometimes people just box everything and click run. You just want to move a couple drones at a time and just be content with that. So either way, Demaga's getting 4 roaches out. 4 roaches. He leaves a roach back for the defense. And now here we have an immediate push. Now I want you to know how clever this little push is. Sure, the Banshee's coming out right now, and that's a little bit scary to deal with, but getting a handful of roaches right at the start and doing a little push works great. Immediately notice this production tab that I oh so intentionally left open. Drones being made. That is the way to play StarCraft 2, folks. You make drones when you are freaking your opponent out. Because if you do a lot of damage, people think, oh, maybe I could end the game right now. No. You just want to say, cool, I'll take this advantage, I'll make drones so I can win later, guaranteed. You never want to take a 95% chance to win right now if you could take a 100% chance to win later. So smart, so smart. As Artosa says, when you get ahead, get more ahead. And the way to do that is to do economically focused things. In the meantime, Phoenix is doing the smart response, right? He's trying to rush up here with Hellions. And in the meantime, it looks like Demaga is very easily just sort of chilling. Now, I do want to note the following thing. So Demaga gets into the base. And Demaga is going to begin doing something very interesting. He's going to begin massing up some queens. I'm actually going to speed this game up a little bit. Now, even noticed to this point that Demaga has not really done too much, right? He has not really made a lot of drones. He's done quite a bit of pressure. Even if we look at the resources, he's a touch ahead of his opponent. But I want to talk a little bit about the psychology of playing Zerg and why it's traditionally been so tough for people. And honestly, it's just because people were playing it wrong, but people did this thing where they thought, okay, well, how do I want to play, right? Okay, well, I like roaches, I like Zerglings. And then one day people went, damn, well, I really kind of want to get some Mutalisks up. Those are some awesome units. And then they're starting to realize that, oh, crap, well, the Banshees, they do a lot of damage too. And all these things start pointing them to get the layer really damn fast because the Mutas deal with the Banshee so well. They deal with the aggression really well. Hey, Infestors are kind of cool. Let's do that. To be entirely honest, in Brood War, that game that a lot of you didn't even play, getting the layer really fast against Terran was essential. Not common, essential. That's what you did against Terran. People have kind of carried that over. What we're going to see Demaga do is he just gets a ton of queens. Look at that. Queens rallied up from everywhere. I'm actually going to close the production tab and leave open this resource tab, and he's getting a relatively fast evolution chamber. And oh my goodness, he sees the Banshee coming up here. He even has some queens positioned in the back. And interestingly enough, we're going to see Demaga lose the queen. He's still making more queens. Uh-oh, the second queen is in a lot of trouble. Looks like he's trying to pick off things. Oh no, Demaga. Looks like he has so many queens that he will be able to pick off this Banshee. Phoenix is clearly not anticipating that. And honestly, look at how few units Demaga made otherwise. He made a handful of units to be able to defend this. And interestingly, Demaga is way, way, way ahead. Still doesn't really have a lot of units in the main. This is one thing that's very nice about queens, is that getting the layer really fast is super thin. You have to barely get your overseers in time, and then you're kind of hanging on by the skin of your teeth until the spire finishes, and you can actually get Mutalisks up. But Demaga's just going to make a lot of very fancy queens, and he's going to be getting this Evo chamber. We're going to see why in a second. How this is something that takes a very long time to practice, but I'm just going to point out how cool this looks. Notice that the cloaking field is up. Demaga's actually getting queens. In production, we have more drones being made. Really very few units. This is not actually that many units. That's 3 larvae of units. That's about 5 larvae of units. And 8 larvae ain't too much for a Zergy. Meanwhile, Phoenix is actually looking surprisingly not healthy. Now, I just want to state for the record, imagine if Phoenix was up against an ultra-fast spiring player, right? Like your usual, like, oh my god, gotta get my layer up, gotta get the spire out, Mutalisks are all my world, etc. When you look at that sort of player play, Phoenix would be darting around, killing off drones. The queen, the 2, maybe 3 queens would be trying to get in position. Gas would be getting spent on overseers. The Zerg would be trying to figure out some way to save up resources to be able to even afford Mutalisks mineral-wise, let alone gas-wise. It just looks ugly. But in this circumstance, Demaga's getting a pretty good economy up. He has all these queens. He's gooping things up with creep. To be honest, like this many queens, 5 queens, is he making more? You bet your ass he's making more. That's probably his 8th queen this game, as he has lost 2. He's making a lot of friggin' queens, man. Lots and lots of queens against Terrans and Protoss, as Demaga's been doing. It's been so amazing to see how effective that is. People have thought, oh, 3 queens, how unorthodox. People have thought, oh, 4 queens, he's crazy. No one's ever said anything like, yeah, you just kind of keep making queens as a standard. Now, I'm just going to note this really fast, just because this, again, looks cool. Notice the timing of these spore crawlers. I'm going to notice, it's getting close to completion, I'm going to pause it right here. And I'm even going to note the cloaking field is very close to finishing. He waited a long time to throw down those spore crawlers, quite a long time. And as you saw in the Newbie Tuesday about defending Banshees, that was number 201, I want to say 201. The spore crawlers can see much farther than they can hit. They can see at about a range of 11, maybe even 12. So the queens can pick off those Banshees that are cloaked while the spore crawler detects in big wide angles. So in the meantime, we're seeing mainly queens get produced. And you heard me say a little bit earlier, what's really important about close positions is just having very good timing. All of these units were kind of like the response units to the holy shit, I'm being attacked. But this is just a very good timing right now for the Baneling Nest, getting it relatively fast. Now, when I say things like, that's a good timing, people immediately say, well, what time do I get it? Right? And I'm just going to go, oh yeah, get it at 7 minutes and 22 seconds. That's the timing. StarCraft 2 is not about a magic list of numbers, right? It's a lot of practice. So for instance, if you see something like a lot of banshees coming at you, you know not a lot of infantry are going to be up. Again, I did not do any calculation in that statement, just intuition. The more banshees that are coming, the fewer infantry are out right now. I'll even say it another way. The more banshees are out, the longer a bunch of marines will take to get to the front of my base. Because all the money and time he spent on the banshees is all the money and time he couldn't have spent on a big marine army. So we just see little things happen in terms of play. Again, timing is not about a magic number. So for instance, these spore crawlers, these were built because I saw banshees, right? I'm going to just select these two structures, about 150 minerals spent to be able to deal with these banshees. If for some reason no banshees were seen, we would have 150 extra minerals. We could get this Baneling Nest faster. And again, we should also appropriately get that Baneling Nest faster because we even know that the Marines are coming. So you just do little tiny adjustments. Hell, if Demaga hadn't seen these banshees, he probably could have gotten away with just 4 queens instead of 8. The banelings could have been out way, way earlier. But the way we would describe what Demaga is doing is that the instant he has about a layer up and he's feeling a little bit defended, got to get those banelings up ASAP to be able to deal with a push. So we see a little bit of damage dealt by these banshees. Not as much as the banshees would want. And of course, Demaga doing the smart thing. The reason this is so smart, people tend to do this as panic. They see banshees and go, shit, and then they just box units and attack. This is smart because this is actually a very aggressive form of scouting. If we poke up here, and we see, like, for instance, a lot of Hellions or a lot of tanks, we know, okay, a push is probably not coming for a while. If we get here and we see not a lot of units, we can obviously just kill it. If we come here and we see a bunch of Marines and Marauders, we back away and we can begin getting our Banelings and our other units right now. And notice what I just said. If we see a bunch of Marines and Marauders, we can then make a whole bunch of units to defend. What would we do if we got to the front, for instance, like right now, and there's not a lot of units? We make drones, like what Demaga's doing. God, that Ukrainian's a genius! You're starting to see kind of how timings, which seem like this mysterious thing that people want, ooh, what are the numbers for it? We just look at the situation and we do some intuitive stuff, right? I poked at the front because these Banshees are all the way at my base. If I see a lot of Marines and Marauders, I know to make Banelings. If I see a lot of Hellions and tanks, I know to make more Roaches. If I see a lot of nothing, I kill him. If I see a bunch of Marines and Marauders, I make a lot of Banelings. That was the first thing I did. Whoops. But yeah, when he sees nothing, he pushes in, does damage, and then he makes drones. How hot is that? And it's smart for him to make drones. He's making drones because his opponent's making a command center. That's why there's no units. His opponent was teching. His opponent was making lots of economy, so it looks like Demaga should respond by economy. So hell, look at after all that insane pressure that Demaga was under, lot of drones. And a ton of queens. Yeah, there's 4 queens on the field. Is there a 5th one? Nah, 4 queens. Still a ton. And of course, there are the Banelings there. They're just a little bit of extra defense. Damn, look at that. 54 drones versus 27 SCVs. Can you believe that differential? That is gigantic. After all the pressure Demaga's been under, he's at the 13-minute mark on Delta Quadrant, doubling worker count. Ballin'. Yeah, I love it. Now here comes very poor control. Queenies get at the front, trying to do some transfuses, sends the army in, kind of forgets about Banelings. Kind of misclicks, needs to do a little bit better of a transfuse there, misses a transfuse, misses another transfuse, but fortunately he has a whole bunch of stuff, but could have gone a little bit better. Demaga, back to hitting that Q button. Ain't nothing to be ashamed of. And this is the sort of thing that looks bad. If this were a tournament cast, I'd probably be going, Phoenix, the aggressive mastermind from Peru, and be doing all that stuff because it's analysis. I can calmly say, despite all this, look at how far ahead Demaga is. 84 food to 67 food. Has a lot of drones. We'll be able to get queens up to repel. Mutalisks almost out. What does Terran have to defend? 6 Marines? Yeah, that's not so good. And there's a stim to try to do damage. By the way, note, remember earlier when I made the big deal about pushing with the roaches and the zerglings, how smart that was? Hell, he saw a lot of units. He could have seen the exact same thing last time. And look, he can just kind of appropriately fall back. No problem. Very easy. And there, of course, come out the Mutalisks. And hey, last time when we poked at the front, we saw nothing, so we made drones. This time when we poke at the front, we see a big Marine Marauder army, so we make Banelings. Intuition. Intuition helps us nicely. As long as we time when we poke at his front well, and as long as we do this great Queen strategy that gives us that flexibility, we are in happy time shape as Demaga. Go, Dr. Demaga. Go. Yeah, resource counting station. Still pulling a little ways ahead. Uh-oh, uh-oh. And then here, Demaga with the Agrosian. Mutal starting forward. I think that was smart, by the way, not to really obsess too much about those Banelings to make sure he helped with this push temporarily. And then, of course, Phoenix, who has exactly nothing left to defend, does the appropriate thing, says GG. Wasn't that a nice little game? Wasn't that awesome? Wasn't that so cool? Doesn't that help reveal the veil of timing a little bit? It wasn't that Demaga was going, I know a special number. I've read a strategy guide. He might even watch the Day 9 Daily. No. He actually just pokes at the front. He has these queens just for a good basic defense. And again, the queens delay the lair. It basically is another way of saying, I only really need minerals right now. I'm not going to waste any resources obsessing about gas. Who wants to obsess about gas, right? And I am just going to make queens and drones and kind of stay cool. If you rush to the lair to get the Overseer and rush to get the Spire, you're all cramped on drones. It's all hard. You feel really, really stinted. You feel super, super out of options. But for that whole game, just poked at the front and did the intuitive thing. Made a few roaches, attacked at the front. Oh, hey, cool. I can put on pressure. I can get some more drones. His second little push at the front. Oh, I can put on pressure. I'm going to make a few drones. His third little push with roaches. Oh, geez, there's Marines and Marauders here. Banelings. God, did I look cool doing that or what? Look at this jacket. Oh, once again, big thanks to Jinx. It was free. They just gave it to me because they watch the daily and they're cool. Oh, Jinx, I'm giving this to you, baby. Bam, bow, the flam. Demaga is the man. So we are now going to advance on to, the last game he played against Phoenix, a game that's on Zelnaga Caverns. Going to be doing this one a little bit more quickly, just because I want to be able to end at a reasonable hour, and because I'm still wearing this jacket in the show, and I am sweating my ass off. Oh my god, it is so hot in this, but that is okay, because I look hot. Yeah. Oh, baby. That is the one thing that is kind of cool about casting a big tournament like Blizzcon. Because I'm talking for like 11 hours straight, my voice gets, I guess, a few notes deeper, and it has that nice burly register where I just go, my judgment is sensual. So cool, so cool. Anyways, Demaga expanding. Oh, look at that. Second Overlord chilling right here. First Overlord goes to a smart spot where it can stay alive. Not suiciding all the way up to check at the front. Nope. Demaga doing little things to get himself victorious. And in the meantime, he's going to try to nibble away at this SCV. Same good old structure, getting the pool kind of fast. We're getting this fastest, and then this a little after, and then that a little after more. Getting the Roach Warren. Oh, look, there's a Queenie, and there's another Kurini. Come on. Yeah, Demaga, you make them Queenies so good. And what's he making in production? 4 Zerglings, so cool. Could probably get away with 2. If he was someone like Idra, he would definitely be opting for 2. Idra loves them tiny, tiny advantages, like eking out an extra drone. And as usual, it looks like Demaga's making a handful of roaches. Notice the versatility of getting roaches that friggin' quickly. If we so desire to put on pressure, we may. If we so desire to defend, we may. But I would like to emphasize the idea of putting on pressure with the roaches. That is just oh so effective. So looks like Phoenix is doing a slightly different thing. No, of course he's not. He's getting a Banshee. Yes, how effective. Yes, indeed. So here are the roaches alive. You know, this is the same structure, and okay, I can't handle it. Look at my forehead. Do you see these beads of sweat rolling down? This Jinx jacket is too cool, but I'm just taking it off. Oh, yeah. Oh, let me just... Oh. It's actually kind of cold because I'm so damp. Oh, yes. And doesn't my shirt just kind of look like me? Yes, indeed. I think I was doing an analysis. I'll go back to that. I suppose I'm still living on a little bit of the juice I had from Blizzcon, aka energy. And chocolate milk. People gave me chocolate milk. So I'm tending to go on tangents a touch more than the usual. But either way, suddenly Demaga is getting somewhat fast layer. Now, you heard me go, oh, you have to do fast layer. Oh, you can get away with doing queens. I'm just saying that if you do go for a layer, you feel like you are very low on options. Anytime there are huge distances between bases, oh my god, that's a huge distance. You immediately relieve a lot of pressure. Immediately, look at how many drones Demaga has. We're at the 6-minute mark. Look at how many drones he has. He can get the fast layer. How many units does he have? 3 roaches and 4 lings. And I should actually word that as 3 roaches, 4 lings, and plenty of time. Plenty of time. But notice Demaga getting an extra queen. Very cool. How long has he been mining from this other geyser? Well, not long at all. He's only mined 100 gas. There's the scan. And see, the banshees can't quite get into as good a position because we're on Xel'Naga Caverns. He's joining this up with creep. There's a spire going down. Is there a queen being made in the main? Yes, indeed! Queens are pretty damn freaking awesome. Now, you heard me gripe about timings in the last game. Let us gripe away again. And crack my neck. One of these days, I'm literally going to inadvertently just snap my neck on air. But that's okay, because you know what? I feel loose and cool now. So you heard me talk about timings, tons of timings in the last game. Now again, timing is not about mysterious, what is the magic number? It is about rearranging. Let us take 2 elements. You don't have to get all fancy and be rearranging 50 things in your head at a time. Crush the problem down. I'm talking to you, gold level players. Crush it down. In that first game, Demaga made a whole bunch of queens, and then he got a layer and a spire. In this game, he's getting a layer and a spire, and then he's getting a whole bunch of queens. Whoa! He rearranged those 2. Are you aware that they're swapping order? Perfect! Now we can start to do a little bit of thought about it. Well, if we're in close positions, we don't have the luxury of getting all that stuff up so early. So I guess that, yeah, we really better get the queens out so we can stay alive. And even though my Mutalisks are late, it's okay because the positions are so close, I can really put the pressure on them. Oh my goodness, Xel'Naga Caverns, our positions are so far away. I not only have the luxury to get the Mutalisks up early, but I really better get them up early because it's a lot farther and a lot harder to get down there with the Mutalisk harass. I better get that up fast and snappy. But still, I need to get those queens to be able to deal with this sort of harassment and to spread my creep. Oh, rearrangement, ladies and gentlemen. And hey, look, it's a baneling nest. This baneling nest was about as fast in both games. Again, don't look at this timer. Don't look at this timer. This timer is very misleading. It's about the state of the game. In the first game, there was a lot of harassment, a lot of pressure. Demaga was slowed in his progression. He didn't have as many drones. Since he was slowed in progression, this looked like it was later on, but in the general look of things, this is about how Demaga's bases looked in the last game when he was getting a baneling nest. It's about how it looked. Things got rearranged a little bit because of the fact that Phoenix has really put on almost no pressure this game. So either way, Spire coming up, speeding things along. Demaga, you're so cool. I love your queen style. Now I tend to go a little bit crazy and I just start massing queens long before I get a layer. I actually get my gas at lately I've been getting it at 30 or 35 in this matchup just so I can get a butt ton of queens and spine crawlers and do some awesome stuff with creeping. I definitely do think that Demaga could be creeping things a little bit harder, but hell, this is just as effective. This is working out great. Now he's beginning to make some mutas. Look how late that Zergling speed is. Didn't need to make any extra Zerglings at the start of the game. Just relied on queenies, queeners, queener. That is a lot of stuff making. Man, that was a busy, busy hatchery. Go, go, go. Demaga. And it looks like Phoenix, appropriately. Because the distances are long, he not only can get away with early expanding, he should get away with early expanding, as in it is necessary for him to do as such. And now Demaga Look at what Demaga does. The instant the pressure is off, goodness, goodness, king of goop. Spread and spread, bloop, bloop, bloop. If I were more caffeinated, I could have made that rhyme and been clever, but I can only do one of those two now. And look hot as fuck in my Jinx jacket. I'm so salty. So here's the stim from Phoenix doing the defense, and now we're actually getting to see some of Demaga's late game planning. So no longer am I going to be referring to the connection between the two games. We're just going to be looking at this late game play by Demaga, and in particular how the queens really reinforce it. So we have a lot of queeners here. He's getting his Evo chambers, he's getting upgrades, he's getting infestation pits, he's moving around doing the Mutalisk. Now, everyone else's look of Terran vs. Zerg is approximately this, but Demaga busts out the queens. That is very cool, and is spreading creeps super aggressively. He has all these creep tumors in his main. He even has creep tumors starting to spread around here. He's taking out these destructible rocks, expanding. This expansion is the usual jazz, but do not underestimate creep. At the resource counting station, look at how damn far ahead Demaga is. Now, for the record, Phoenix is going to start slowly crawling his way back as he gets more and more Marines and Marauders, plus a lot of Zerg units are expensive on the food front. But Demaga, playing this out smart, is going to go ahead and get his second hatchery. I think that's a very cool way to transition. And I also want to gripe again about the idea of transitioning at the most basic, fundamental, simple, unsophisticated level. He said biting his tongue, that hurt. Ouch, I bit my tongue. Ow. Alright, let's talk about transitioning really, really quickly. Transitioning is a fancy word. Very easy to say something like, ooh, he's doing a good little transition into Colossus, or transition into Templar. It's as easy as saying what fits in nicely, right? 3 hatches as Zerg. Hey, that seems to make a lot of sense. Who doesn't like getting a lot of hatcheries to make a lot of units? If you didn't open with a lot of queens, if you opened with a 1 queen fast tech build, it is harder to make use of 3 hatcheries. If you have a lot of queens at the start, getting extra hatches for extra larva injects is really smart. Or, what's another transition that would be good off a lot of queens? Expanding a ton, because right when the expansion gets up, we got a queen that we can send over. We don't have to build anything extra. We have it available. If I am getting an evolution chamber for upgrades anyways, it is way easier to transition into spore crawlers to defend against those banshees than it is to transition into overseers with a layer, because I already have some stuff made. Very, very, very simple concept. A little bit harder to figure out smooth transitions, but I just wanted to illustrate that Demaga is being the man. Go Demaga, Demaga. My goodness, my room is 1,000,000 degrees right now. So, Phoenix is continuing to make his big Marine force. Now, interestingly enough, mass Marine is increasingly become what people do in this matchup. You basically know that Marines are your biggest damage per second in units. You love them, you want to make lots of them, even though Banelings crush them. You just sort of hope that after all... you hope that after all the Banelings have killed as many Marines as they can, that you still have enough Marines to be able to win the fight. Phoenix playing a little passively at this point, and Demaga is just going to be gooping his creep up. Now, to be entirely blunt, I think Demaga's not creeping nearly as aggressively as he could. He could be doing 3 or 4 creep tumors, which with each of these, he could be moving so quickly. Because you do want to make use of those queens. Zergling counterattacks, super huge on this map. People tend to just march towards the Terran, and that's great. But how many of you march along this path aggressively with your creeps? So you can do the Ling counter swing bys very, very easily. I would venture to say that none of you do, you naughty, naughty viewers. So meanwhile, Demaga looks like he's not really making that many of the drones. This is the sort of period in gameplay that always makes me a little concerned, is when the player is over-uniting, and there's just not a lot of saturation. Sure, he's making Zerglings, sure his macros well, and sure he has extra money. It might not seem like he needs it so much, but is he going to make use of those units? If you make units right now, they are strongest right when they pop out. The longer units are sitting around, the more you need to be asking yourself, could I have gotten away with not making this? And meanwhile, it looks like Demaga is cleaning this up. And to be honest, hey, Infestors are a great thing to transition into after Queens. Because the Infestor, Fungal Growth's Medevacs, Queens pick off said Medevacs, and you have now protected yourself against drops. Huh, if I open up Mass Queen, might be smarter to go Infestors than it is to go Hydralisks. Hydras and Queens both kind of shoot up. They do the same basic function against drops, but the Infestor adds a little value to those Queens. Oh, now we're starting to see some more transitioning concepts. Cool, cool. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be going Mutalisk either. I'm just saying that Infestors work very well with Queens. We can be more motivated to get Infestors if we already have those Queens. Phoenix doing a drop. He's doing a drop. Oh my god, that sucks. Yeah, resilience, death, murdering. Still really no drones in the queue for Demaga. I mean, I'm less concerned about the minerals at this point and super thinking about the gas. The big thing to note, because Zerg can take expansions so easily, that means it's very easy to get gas. Minerals are a little harder to get. If you throw down a hatch, you need like this many drones to be able to adequately make use of all the mineral patches, but you only need 3 in this geyser, 3 in this geyser, and here 3 more, 3 more. Suddenly you can make 1,000,000 Ultralisks. Easier to get gas, just general little Zerg note there. So here comes Phoenix. He's taking out these rocks. He has a Thor, which of course are just great units all around. Phoenix taking his gold expansion. Demaga being intimidating with the creep, being not intimidating with that control. Zerglings trying to swing around, pick off excess units, just sort of strenuously placed out, doing nothing. And notice even that, remember me going, oh my goodness, Phoenix is way behind. He's still a little bit behind in the food, but he's closing the gap. Not just absolutely, but relatively. And here comes Demaga with big with a push. And this is your usual sort of jazz. Now, one reason why I like this push, he has been making a lot of units instead of a lot of drones. What did I say earlier? The longer a unit is sitting around doing nothing, the more you need to ask yourself, should I have made a drone with this? If you make 12 Mutalisks and just sit with them, it's kind of bad, right? You want to be doing harassment with them. So if you make 40 Zerglings and you're just sitting with them, it doesn't look so good. But hey, if you are building a whole bunch of units to make a big attack, I can get behind that. I'm into that. I like that. I also, I dislike it for a couple of reasons. I dislike it because there's no big busting unit except for the Banelings, which are doing a pretty damn good job. Generally, Ultralisks and Broodlords are the big, I'm going to break this entrenched position sort of units. But again, Banelings, he had them, so that's kind of okay. Another reason I like it, we're trying to beat our opponent to getting this planetary fortress up. And as we can see, that's working sort of well. So all in all, this is not something I would label as a standard push. I would label this more so as a very strong player using his intuition to make this attack. I would not want anyone to think that there was something particularly special that Demaga did at this phase. He really just looked at the situation and said, okay, I can kill that off. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with not doing this sort of attack if you're a lower, weaker player. And we can even see, Demaga still is not making use of his third base. He has his natural loaded up. He has his main loaded up. He even has the 2/2 upgrades. Wow, that's pretty awesome, yeah. But does not have either of these running. That disappoints me a touch. And hey, Queen's getting into the fray. They didn't really do anything, but still, it's an interesting idea to get Queens into the battle. If you can creep your way over there, hell, you can always have the Queens throw down transfusions on your Infestors, on your Roaches, on your Mutas. You can even have them picking off Medivacs. Queens are pretty cool later on in the game. Now, Demaga, transitioning-wise, is just one of the best players in the business, right? He's doing that classic Zerg mistake, making 2 Infestation Pits, because VI for Infestation Pit is very close to VU for Ultralisk Cavern. But either way, getting the upgrades, not forgetting the adrenal glands there at the spawning pool. But they're finally throwing down. A little disappointed in the economy aspect of Demaga's play, but super excited about his strategic decision-making. Looks like Demaga's making more bust-type units. And notice he's not quite as ahead as he was. He actually was tied with food and then sort of sprinted 20 food ahead by spamming. But again, you're starting to see why I was like, yeah, I'm not so sure about that attack in the first place, because he was ahead by like 30 food, and then afterwards, even as awesome as it seemed, he was even in food. We want those push-busting units. A lot of Banelings, a lot of Ultras, a lot of Broodlords. Coming back to the game. Oh, 25 kill planetary fortress. How banshee of that planetary fortress. In the meantime, there's not too much the Terran can do. The big thing that Phoenix is just a genius of doing is placing tanks here and running Marines up the left side and then backing off. And when the Zerg units follow here, he runs units up this side and is always using this planetary fortress as like a retreat point. You can even see him starting to set up a good little place to retreat to. So Demaga is actually hanging out. He should be counterattacking down here. This is one of the easiest moves in this game. The back door that DJ Wheat loves so much. So easy to do. And you're also starting to see that, again, even in food. You know why they're even in food? Because Demaga didn't load up this expo. He didn't load up this expo for a long-ass time. So he couldn't continue to pull ahead. Oh, there's Phoenix with this constant running around the top, running around the bottom. The fungal growth will shut that little fun down for a little bit. Advancing things along a tad. Another expansion going down for Phoenix. Oh, hey, very nice little poke there by Demaga. And really, I think this is going to be pretty clean clean up. The instant he gets an Ultra's Cavern up, finally it's up. And if we go to production, 2 Ultras en route. And how many are out? Oh, none at this point. And there's the drop. Does he spot it? He might even leave an Infestor kind of positioned back to be able to cover the center and be able to cover the main at the same time. But really just great solid play. And this look to Zerg just makes me so happy. Creep everywhere. Waiting and waiting and waiting, picking up dropships, shutting down expansions, making sure no little Marine Marauder groups do anything goofy, chilling until he gets the busting units. Banelings, in particular Ultralisks. Broodlords probably aren't going to get those, but the Ultralisks, the index finger on this list is really the key one that makes me quite excited. And oh, waiting for that upgrade to happen. When is a good timing push to attack? Whenever your upgrades finish. And of course, whenever you kill off a bunch of drops. So Demaga's spreading out his units. He has some Lings here. He has some Banelings. He has Infestors. Oh, has some Mutalisks up there in the 9 control group. Okay, cool. Would like to see a little more usage of the hotkeys in a little bit cleverer of a fashion. But now, Demaga is maxed. Such calm, such calm, such calm. He's not doing anything. That's great. That's actually a really good thing. Why? Because he has 5 bases and his opponent has almost 4, but basically 3 at this point. This is getting shut down. Demaga is waiting for a hole. He's waiting for a way to bust in. Notice that there really isn't one. Planetary Fortress, giant tank count, bunkers. I mean, this is not a weakness. Hey, command center with nothing defending it. There's a weakness. Hey, drops completely naked with nothing there at all. Uh-oh, can he escape the fungal growth? No. Oh, yes, actually. Yes, he can. That is the little hole you want to be going for. Again, Demaga, swing around here. This is probably the most consistent hole in this matchup right now. But even so, this little battle, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. In any situation, in any matchup, the player with the faster units gets to choose what battles he fights. A good choice sometimes is no battles. Oh my goodness. 8 Colossi and a whole bunch of Gateway units and Templar, and I only have Marines. I'm just not going to engage that. I'm not going to take that fight. I'm going to do a drop in his mineral line where it's probes against Marines. Yeah, I like that. And I'm going to pick up. I'm going to back off. Hey, faster player gets to choose those fights, so choose wisely, man. And again, nothing wrong with just chilling. Now Demaga's going to do a very common technique. Wait a little bit. You're maxed. Alright, chill. Be cool. Hang out. Keep poking at those weak points, like this bottom expansion that doesn't really have any units here. He's positioning himself very calmly. Hey, look, it's another little hole. Oh my god, if that was 40 Zerglings that just ran into the main, Phoenix might have to pull his army back. And you know what happens when he pulls half his army back? You've created another hole for yourself where you can just pour those units in. Dump them in there like it is a large bucket. Yeah, that's good. I'm sure buckets resonate with a lot of my audience. I'm so clever. And here, the push-busting units. In a cast, we get excited. We go, Can he hold? And in analysis, we want to immediately say, how's he going to replenish that army? Here comes the units. The heavy units come in first. Notice that these Zerglings, they're not coming in at the same time. They're coming a little while later. Actually, a couple of seconds later. But an essential couple of seconds later, because those fully upgraded Zerglings really deal the damage. And the Ultros really absorb the damage. And here comes Demaga making, Zerglings. An interesting choice. Why Zerglings? Because they are so damn fast. I prefer to see a couple more Ultralists, but I think